from Julio Cruz and Gaylord Perry to Alvin Davis and Harold Reynolds to father and son back-to-back bombs, from Junior J, Joey, and Edgar with Randy, A-Rod, Dan, and the Sheriff, to Ichiro Moyer and Mikey C, to King Felix, Kyle Cruz, and Cano, to the present with Julio, Gilbert, Kirby, and Cal. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. My, oh my, it's another sports podcast. RG, your favorite team just won the Super Bowl. What are you going to do now?
I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this, so I had to grind like that, to shine like this. In a matter of time I spent on some locked up shit, handcuffed in the back of the patio. Oh, man, I'm still fucked up. Still in celebration mode. So happy we finally did it, man. So happy we slayed the dragon. The one that we needed to get by, we got back. We got our lick back. Jalen Hurts has silenced all the doubters. You bottle up Saquon Barkley and say we want Jalen to beat us with his arm, and he came out and said, "Is that what y'all wanted to see?" How could you not love it, man? It's time to go to work.
Let's do it, baby. Well, we're going to go hardcore into the Super Bowl. We would have anyways, but clearly y'all know what time it is. RG not only loves the Eagles, he has family ties, which really makes it special to this dude. We got to give a huge shout out to our super producer, Indy, out there in Nashville, Tennessee, rocking the ones and twos. That's Vaden Podcast Services. Vaden Podcast Services. Shout out to all the homies in the live chat. We're rolling Monday night because our homie RG had to get his swagger. Oh my goodness. I'm so jealous. So happy for you. So happy for the Eagles. I got lots of thoughts on the game, but you are the number one Eagles fan. Just tell me anything that really stuck out for starters, good, bad, anything in between. What a game.
I, like most of the country, when they threw the flag for pass interference offensively against A.J. Brown, was like, oh no, here we go. But then after that, it just turned into the greatest funeral I've ever seen on national TV. Fly, Eagles, fly all the way to victory. Man, I wanted a close game. Well, I'm not going to say I wanted a close game. I was expecting a close game. I mean, these are the two-time defending Super Bowl champions. This is Patrick Mahomes, who, whether you love him or hate him, is the best quarterback in football right now. But if there was ever a team that was destined just to come out and take belts to asses, it was the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles, man. Shout out to Texas Power Ranger. How does it feel? Congrats. The Eagles doing the Lord's work. And in the rain, man, it was the way it had to be. I've been saying for months now, to be the man, you had to beat the man. And if the Eagles couldn't do it, I wanted to see a three-peat. The Eagles got there. So that threw any hope of wanting to see a three-peat out the window. And to just be the team that does it, man. Just so awesome, man. So awesome. No distractions from the Kellen Moore, whether or not he is or is not going to go to New Orleans to be their coach. Just focused on one mission, and man, just compared to 2 years ago when we were up, we put the hammer down. Just no fear of what they were doing, and Kansas City looked shell-shocked. Oh man, sorry, Mr. Baxter here. You're up late with kidney stones, but yeah, man, we're here to talk some sports and have a little bit of fun, man.
Just an incredible performance. I was watching the Super Bowl with my brother and my wife and two dogs, and shocked, stunned That was my reaction for most of the game. We talked about it though, RG. Maybe we put a little bit too much on what a coach and quarterback can or can't do because we both pretty clearly had our minds made up that Philly had the better roster top to bottom. But I also don't want to
Yes.
be that guy that's betting against the Chiefs. You bet against the Chiefs, you are going to lose your money, bro. So it's a hard one to say. Talk to me about this defensive front, though, man. The one word that just came to my mind over and over and over again was the Eagles just overwhelmed Kansas City's offensive line, and it was on. And you know me, I love seeing a quarterback have to run for his life.
The only person who I've heard so far say anything to the contrary was Matt Hasselback, saying that the stat given out that we sacked him 6 times and didn't run one blitz play is inaccurate just because of the position that certain guys came through on the way that the plays were called. I'm not that much of an aficionado where I can tell you what the difference is just based on play calling, but it absolutely mirrored the game plan that Tampa had against them when Tampa beat them. That if you're able to get to him with 4, it just causes too much chaos in the back end. Just shout out to that line, man. Shout out to that line. And the favorite part of me was when we got the strip sack, which happens to be a staple in the Eagles' victory now. Jalen Carter smacking Mahomes in the face just was icing on the cake.
I'm glad they didn't call that one.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I thought it was coming. But hats off to the Chiefs. It takes a great team to even be in that position. Only 9 teams in the history of the league have ever had the chance to go back to back, and the Chiefs are the only ones that ever made it to the Super Bowl. So can't negate what their reign was. Just this current chapter of it happens to come to an end, and couldn't happen to a better man than Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. What a story. What a story to really think about his college career. He started for Alabama, going to the playoffs on the reg, gets pulled, as we all know, in the national championship game, transfers to Oklahoma, falls to the second round. Everybody thought the Eagles were crazy for drafting Jalen Hurts when they already gave Carson Wentz the bag. Clearly, they knew what they were doing. Whether it was just an insurance policy or they believed in him that much, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go back to last week though, dude. We were talking about Jawan Taylor at right tackle, and I was really curious to see if he could hold up against the edge rushers. And boy, Sweat and Smith did him dirty, bro.
And man, Josh Sweat could have easily won MVP too. I mean, he just wrecked house every chance he got. Just, hate to steal it from Miley Cyrus, but the boy came in like a wrecking ball. Just destroyed any anything that they wanted to do to him. And shout out to Mikael Williams as well too. He earned himself the bag. Sorry, one second. Yeah, Milton Williams. Sorry. Shout out to Milton Williams. He earned himself his bag. He's a free agent. Zach Zach Braun just to go from a backup to one of the finalists for Defensive Player of the Year and to get his interception. Shout out to him. The second birthday boy, Cooper DeJean, with the pick 6 on his 22nd birthday. First player in the Super Bowl era to ever score a touchdown on his birthday, man. Just the the way that the team was just constructed, this was it. This was it. And the thing that's the the thing that's the most impressive to me is we're the third youngest team in the league. And there's an opportunity for us to re-sign some guys and make some moves to only get better. I'm not going to go as far out on the limb to say that this is the beginning of something, but the way that we're set up, hopefully we're set up to be able to have sustained success moving forward.
Well, RG, you want to talk about sustained success? I think we're a quarter of the way through this century right now. I think we can clearly say that the Philadelphia Eagles have been the best team in the NFC of this century so far. And I can't really think of anyone else in the NFC who can really compete with what they've put together the last 25 years.
Well, to me, we just had that gap from '04 to '09 when we got to the NFC Championship game, lost to Arizona, and then we kind of just were flapping in the breeze trying to do too much. Howie gets demoted for Chip Kelly. The first go around with Nick Foles, they do make the playoffs, um, but not a team that was really built to do more than compete in the regular season. They get rid of Chip Kelly. Howie comes out of exile, just completely focused on what he needs to do his job better and to put us in a better position. And shout out to him, man. I don't know if I could have swallowed my pride and my ego. You demote me at work, I'm out the door. But he took it on the chin. It made him better. He's made us better. Just so much to say. Just, I believe we're the best organization in football, top to bottom. Nick Sirianni, I was one of the people ready to come burn his house down, but it actually turns out that the guys that are around him love to be around him, and he's true to his personality, whether it's crying during the national anthem, whether it's shouting at fans, whether it's shouting at Jalen Carter, or even shouted at AJ Brown yesterday, which was another pivotal point where I was like, oh, no, 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 no. But that's just how it was built and just went out there and balled, just balled.
I got to ask you then, man. I got to ask you really quick. Do you think Nick Sirianni just kind of fits Philly?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I do. I heard Dan, Frank Iasola say, I'm an Italian man. I'm not going to sit up here and talk shit about an Italian man for Philadelphia. But it's just, we only know what it is that we get to see and what's captured on the cameras. We don't know what it's like in the trenches and in the offices every day. And apparently the guys who go to war for him are ready to go to war for him. And it is shown out in what we've done since he's been there. 4 straight years in the playoffs, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and finally has his Super Bowl ring. I believe only George Seifert in his first 4 years has more wins than him, and it's only by 3. So, if we don't have the epic collapse, this guy is proven to be worth his weight. Now, the rest of the story remains to be written, but chapter 4 is turning out to be my favorite chapter so far.
Love it, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out to those of you rocking with us in the live chat. Let's get to some of the quotes real quick. Fly Eagles fly. We talked about Mr. Baxter. Hopefully you feel better. Eagles have been the devil to 2 potential 3-peats. And we've gotten our lick back. I told somebody, I guess in the revenge Super Bowl, you don't want to face Philly. We may give it up to you, but we're going to come back and get our lick. And we have now twice against 2 of arguably the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. Sweat was playing out of his mind, says Tommy. He looked like he stole the power from Strahan Miller, Simeon Rice, Monster Styles. Dude, our defense and offensive line, man, are the unsung heroes of this team. Just, there's a bunch of beefy boys on our offensive line, man. And shout out to them being the catalyst to help Saquon Barkley amounts the most rushing yards that a quarterback has ever had. I mean, that a running back has ever had in a single season. Tyson Baxter says, I thought DBs only look like us. That white boy Coop is the real deal. Not only Coop, man, but Reed Blankenship. Reed Blankenship, probably, what is it when you don't hear about defensive backs? That means they're back there playing their ass off. And you don't hear shit about those guys because they just do what they do. And when the other team can't create downfield and just a good matchups and the quarterback, has to dump it off and go to tight ends and get completions on the linebackers, our whole secondary, man, just so proud of this team. So proud of this team. So proud to be able to sit and watch. And I even got to make a game this year out in LA, the game where Brandon Graham actually tore his biceps, and to see him get to come back on the field and finish his story. So now that guy gets to walk out on top with 2 Super Bowl rings as well too. So big shout out to the whole squad, man. Big shout out to the whole squad. Now we definitely can get into the offensive side of the ball whenever you're ready to.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, we're gonna dive into the Super Bowl obviously on this one. It's just the defense was so relentless, and it's been a really long time since, maybe not really, the last Tampa Bay kicking the snot out of Patty Mahomes and company, just like Tommy was mentioning. I was just thinking though, RG, there's only one way to beat a Hall of Fame quarterback, and that's to get after his ass relentlessly. It can't just be on a third down here or a third down there. You have to relentlessly get after a Hall of Fame quarterback, or they will cut you up. So the Eagles did exactly what they had to. You want to talk a little offense? I got to ask you then, RG. If I told you Saquon Barkley would average 2.3 yards per carry, what do you think was going to happen in this Super Bowl?
That we were going to get the same performance out of Jalen that we did in the first one, where he was going to come out and make plays, find the open guys. I was really impressed with the game he played, minus the oh shit ball he threw up that got picked off at the 3 yard line. Other than that, man, 2 Super Bowl performances against the guy who's the GOAT of his era, and he has outplayed Mahomes on the biggest stage twice. Absolutely twice. And I'll tell you something else for all of you who are still on the Three Musketeers in the AFC who you're waiting to take over the throne. In the last 2 years, Jalen has beaten Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes twice. Put some respect on that guy's name. He's not going to come out and throw for 4,900 yards. He's not going to come out and get close to throwing for 50 touchdowns. But what that guy is a winner, an intangible that you cannot define just in stats. And he has done what two of them can't do, even get to the Super Bowl. Burrow got there and then couldn't beat Matt Stafford. Jalen is absolutely a top 5 quarterback in this league. He is a winner, and it is time to reshuffle that list. I don't want to hear nothing else about Josh Allen being better than he is, because Matt Hasselbeck tried to push that today on TV too. I've never seen Josh Allen come up big when the moment asks for it. But when the moment gets big, Jalen plays better. It happened at Alabama. He couldn't throw the ball, and they needed to throw the ball. So then what happened? When Tua gets hurt and they need a moment, what does Jalen do? Come in the game and throw the ball, run the ball, and get Alabama to the national championship. He just wins, man. He just wins. So happy to have Saquon Barkley. I bet Josh Mara had a tough time sleeping last. John Mara had a tough time sleeping last night, and probably wanted to fire Joe Skeen as soon as he got up this morning. Because not only did his worst fear come to life, but the demon came to life last night to have to watch that guy put his hands on the Lombardi trophy. A.J. Brown, Inner Excellence. Everybody should get a copy of that book and see if it can change how you live your real life. The Slim Reaper, Devontae Smith. I'll tell you a little bit about that dude. Only 4 other guys until last night have ever won the Heisman, the national championship, and the Super Bowl. And all he does is make big catches in each of those games. We are built nice, man. And let's not forget the workhorses up front, the Beef Boys, man. An average of 310 pounds across that line. Hall of Famer, man, Lane Johnson, man. If that guy rides off into the sunset, I'll be sad to see him go. And normally, I don't like Oklahoma Sooners, but I'm so happy to have Lane Johnson. I'm happy for the year that Jalen spent there, man. Just the way that we're built up and down. I saw something crazy that we have 11 players on our team that were involved in championship success either in Alabama or Georgia. So you have a young core like that, and all those guys know how to do is come out and win and compete for championships. I think we are in a great spot moving forward and can't wait to see how it plays out the next few seasons. I'm not going to go LeBron crazy and tell you not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but you're going to have to deal with the Eagles for a very long time.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen Hurts is still what, only 26 or so?
26 years old. And if we're going to talk financials in the way that things are built, he is the least expensive big time quarterback on anybody's team right now. There's an opportunity to win and win for a while before we have to reconstruction and to go to do some deals. But if there's one guy I got faith in to be able to make it happen, it's the best GM in the National Football League, and that's Howie Roseman.
Gotta ask you, man. People wondering if Jalen Hurts can pass. You see that dime to Devontae Smith, though, to really put the game completely out of reach. That is what you call a
Beautiful.
big time throw. Big time throw.
Beautiful.
Big time throws the whole game, too. And I love it, too, because clearly Kansas City came out and was like, we're going to play one-on-one on the outside, and we are going to stop the run. But
Well, they got half of that accomplished.
they got two number one receivers and a quarterback that can deliver the football. Plus, Jalen had over half the rushing yards. I
He
mean,
did.
huge props to that man. I
Said
mean,
he
he
broke
just
his
did
own
it.
Super Bowl record in rushing yards for a quarterback last night.
Yeah.
Telling you, nine. What was it? We had more penalties. We had more penalties than the Chiefs had first downs. They didn't even cross midfield until, yeah, like Tay Williams was saying, the last 2 minutes of the third quarter. Just an absolute beatdown. And it was the way it had to be if you were going to come out and beat them, beat the conspiracies, beat the allegations. It was the way it had to be. Just so happy it was my Philadelphia Eagles.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. All right.
Yes, sir.
Let's get into a little bit of halftime here. I got to ask you, who took the bigger L on Super Bowl Sunday? Was it the Kansas City Chiefs or Drake?
It was a tough day for light-skinned black people yesterday. It was real tough, man. It was real tough. I happened to be at work doing shift handoff during the time of the Super Bowl, and they were nice enough to put the game on the screen, but I couldn't hear any of the sound. So one of the guys we were doing handoff with was kind of saying he's a little tired of not like us, and I get it. I get it. It's almost been a full 8-9 months that that song has been on, and that song's been everywhere. But I told him if I was only here for one part of the smoke, I wanted to see if the crowd knew the assignment and they knew when it was their time. And that probably is the only part of any clip on YouTube other than Serena crip walking, which is just terrible in its own right. Sure enough, he played it. He got the first verse off. And when it was time for fan participation, 60,000 people. A minor. Thank God that dude was in Australia. But yeah, man, if the biggest loss that happened yesterday probably is owned to Mr. Aubrey Graham. Game over.
Sheesh. We asked for it and they gave it to us. We were hoping the whole stadium would jump in on it. I didn't know though, because the Super Bowl is a really corporate event. I didn't know how many people would really know what was going on there. So kudos to the fans at the stadium.
They knew the assignment. They knew the assignment. Once they heard that Kendrick was coming, they knew what time it was. I'm sure there were a bunch of people who were there who probably don't even listen to rap music. But you know what time it is after you hear wop, 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 dot, fuck them up. Hey, mine. Second time in 2 weeks, because don't forget last Sunday at the Grammys when he won Rap Album of the what was it, Song of the Year, and he got up and got the last award. They happened to play that same part of the song, and everybody in Staples Center knew what time it was. A minor.
I'm gonna have to look that up because I didn't see that, bro.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. Two L's, man. Two L's. Just. What do you expect, though? What are you expecting? And there's now. Don't get me wrong. Drake's got some good music. You don't get to where you're at by not being able to put out good music, but you also have to know what you're going up against. And Drake handed Philly a loss because he ate Mill alive. But when you get in the ring with someone who can actually rap, and he should have learned that from Pusha T. Like Jay-Z once said, don't bark up that tree. That tree will fall on you. Yeah, it's been falling on that dude all summer long.
All right, I got a question for you. Just winning the Super Bowl is an incredible journey. And there's so many moments throughout the entire season. Could you look back and is there any turning point you think really got the Eagles in the right direction and had them believing they could really take this thing all the way? And you know me, I thought early on that this was a team that really had what it takes to take it all the way. But is there any turning point in the season that you really think got them on this right track?
Losing to Tampa the way that we did for the second straight year. Going there and having no answer for anything that Baker Mayfield and them boys had for us. Um, Even with the Saquon signing, it doesn't do you justice if the team hasn't gelled and isn't playing well. And from that game on, 17-1. From that game forward, 17-1. And the only reason we lost the one game is because Jalen got a concussion and we just weren't ready to actually have Pickett in a position to come in and play as well as he needed to. And even in that game, Washington still has to drive down the field and make a miracle on the last 4 minutes, in the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter to still beat us. So yeah, man, to me, it was the loss against Tampa that really had to shake it. Because from there it could have gone either way. Um but they knew when they were just built for this time, man. And the real leader stepped up. The real leader stepped up. We don't know the internal conversations that happened in that locker room, but you can tell by how they came out and played. And every week got better than what they were the week before. Now, you could say we took a step back when AJ made his comment about passing. And then even from there, the passing game got a little bit better. And we realized who we were by feeding the ball to Saquon Barkley. He came to run behind those horses. He proved his point. They proved their point. Just a fantastic year, man. A very fantastic year. Very fitting. And I liked how we flew below it because most of the focus was on Detroit. And, you do got to talk about how Detroit had two whole starting squads worth of players on the injury list. That could have gone a little bit different. But we flew just on the radar enough that enough of the attention wasn't on us. And it just allowed us to go in there and work. I heard what somebody once tell me in my youth it's better to be the Mac in the back than the chump in the front. And we had a bunch of guys who were the Macs in the back.
I love that. That's a great saying, dude.
Yes, sir.
So, what you just said kind of flying below the radar, it kind of just feels like that's Jalen Hurts in a nutshell. And then everyone else follows suit. Because, at least in my personal opinion, it feels like Hurts has such a business like approach. And he's not getting too high. He's not getting too crunk. He doesn't get too down. He's not screaming at the refs like we see Allen and Mahomes always losing their cool with the refs. And I feel that the team is really taking on his personality now. There's no slight against Fletcher Cox or Jason Kelsey here. Both franchise stalwarts, both probably Hall of Fame players, but maybe it was time to have the leadership void filled by the quarterback, because the field general is really supposed to be that guy. Clearly, it doesn't always work like that. You can't force leadership, but it feels like what you just said on the Eagles season is what Hurts has always been about, and that's when shit can really come together.
True, absolutely. And this is where I want to give Sirianni some props as well too, to be able to be humble enough to buy in to have someone tell you what your role is. They didn't want him too far involved with either side of the ball. They wanted him to take a CEO approach. He didn't get to pick Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio to come in. They were hired until he was told this is what their job is, and it's your job to get everybody on the same page. And to be able to humble yourself like that when you're in that type of position just speaks volumes for the type of man that he is. Like I said, I don't know if most of us in the world can be able to do that. I, for one, know that I can't. You want me to take another role and you want me to step up and not be the voice? What did you hire me for? I don't like being micromanaged, but just the way that it all came together was the way that it had to be. And just can't wait to see what we do in the off season and how we can keep building on this success. I wish my baseball general manager was like my football general manager. Hell, I even wish the Suns ran their organization the way that the Eagles do. But just hats off to those guys, top to bottom, know your role. Taking shots on people who had been forgotten. Beck, no one wanted Beck. That dude was a bust. And now that dude's about to get paid. Zach Braun was a backup. Cooper DeJean was a special team specialist. Guys got in, did their jobs, adapted to their roles. Definitely more brotherhood like the 2018 team. Because that team was just united in a way that I've never seen a team come together before. Just fly Eagles fly, man. Fly Eagles fly.
I'm going to give this, though. I don't, that's a tough comparison for me because Jeffrey Lurie is such a high end owner, and Mr. Stanton with my beloved Mariners couldn't be more opposite and how much he directly cares. And that's where the leadership is, like, what, all the way at the top. How much does your owner care? We know how much the Mariners owner cares. He cares 54% worth, and we know exactly where that is. And the fans that try to, they get it twisted a lot, and that's okay though, because I like business. I like the business in sports. I like business in general. And we both know what time it is. That is the perfect number to get fans to the ballpark in all parts of the year while spending as little as possible. That is literally, I guarantee you, the Mariners came up with an algorithm to what's that perfect number where we can spend as little as possible and still get people to come for 81 home games. But I don't want to get in on the Mariners, man. This is a celebration of RG's favorite team. Shout out to your uncle. Shout out to every Brian Dawkins, man. Jason Peters. All these wonderful amazing Eagles that did not reach these heights. Congratulations. And I'm gonna be a hater. I shouldn't say we all. I know a lot of us fans wanted to see Kansas City go down, but I also want to give them their flowers though really quickly because they've been on one of the best runs in NFL history. So that makes it even more impressive for the Eagles. I mean, the Chiefs, seven straight AFC Championship games, 5 out of 6 Super Bowl appearances, and 3 wins out of 5 appearances. Fantastic. Dynasty hands down, but the Eagles said not on our watch, and I love it. I've been saying it all year. It Shame on all the teams in the NFL for letting the Chiefs win so much. Everyone gets so mad about it, but everyone has to have a strict salary cap. Everyone gets 7 draft picks. Now, how do you allocate your resources? And the Chiefs, yeah, they've gotten some calls here and there. They didn't get the calls minus the first one on Super Bowl Sunday night, and I love it. Not on our watch. Congrats to the Eagles, man. It's not easy to be the ones to topple a dynasty.
At all, man. At all. And shout out to them. Shout out to them Georgia Bulldogs. Shout out to the Georgia Bulldogs, baby. Um, is the core going to stay intact next year? As Baxter says, really, we don't have a lot of guys that aren't coming back under contract. The ones that I mentioned, Milton Williams, Zach Braun. We need to figure out what we're going to do with them. Um, I definitely hope we bring Braun back. Um, and something crazy too. The guy who was the steal for us, really in free agency, was a healthy scratch yesterday. We haven't used Huff to do shit all year. Plus, N'Kobe Dean should come back healthy. Um, Interesting to see how we move forward, who we sign, who we don't keep. But there's a big fish out there in Cleveland who wants to move spots. And for him, money's not the issue. He just wants to be a part of a team that had the chance to compete in January and with the competent quarterback. And if there's one guy who I know might be able to make that deal happen, he happens to sit in the front office of the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's just go on ahead and make everybody pissed off and bring in Myles Garrett and do it again.
I mean, in my humble opinion, Howie Roseman's got to be the up there, if not the best deal maker in football right now, hands down.
Yes, he is.
I just want to touch on you were talking about the Georgia Bulldogs, and we've gone back on this before, but I just love it when a guy has enough of a track record to learn. We know that they got really cute in the draft several years ago, went with Jalen Rager out of TCU instead of the obvious pick was Justin Jefferson out of LSU. So obvious they didn't make the pick. He's only an undefeated national championship on maybe the greatest offense in college football history. But okay, we learn. We're going to go and get the best players from the best teams over and over and over again. And oh, wait, just when you think what we're only going to go after guys from the top schools, shout out Tyson Baxter, lockdown corner. We didn't even see him in the Super Bowl because no one was throwing out him. Quinyon Mitchell, incredible job of going after the top dogs at the top schools, but don't get too in love with that notion. If there's a guy from the MAC that probably could have gotten $1 million to go play somewhere else, showed loyalty to the people that showed him the love first, gotta love that story. And just a great job of learning as a front office and a football operations team, learning from your mistakes, moving on, finding the right guys. I'm going to give a quick shout out to N'Kobe Dean. He had a major injury earlier in the playoffs, another Georgia Bulldog. But I mean, don't mess around. We know that Georgia back to back championship squad was built on defense. And they have 4 starters, 3 from the first round from that team. Go get them. And oh, don't forget, Keely Ringo somewhere there in the
He
special
sure
teams
is, man.
unit.
And I'm trying to find um, the article that was put up. Don't remember where I saw it, but it broke down how many SEC guys are on our squad. 6 from Alabama, 6 from Georgia. Sorry, 5 from Georgia. Um, yeah. Good stat that Mariners like to put up. Kurt Warner, Eli Manning, Russ Wilson, and Jalen Hurts are the only NFC quarterbacks to start multiple Super Bowls since 2000. They all played Brady at least once. They sure did. And only 2 of them beat Brady. No, sorry, no, only one of them beat Brady. We definitely got our lick in with Nick Foles. Shout out to Nick Foles talking shit to Tom Brady, too, telling them thanks for being a good luck charm. We win Super Bowls when you're around, except for '04. Um, yeah, man, just a collective of talent on both sides of the ball who have played enough um that played enough championship level football and are high enough level recruits to be able to put something like this together. Shout out to everybody who was too afraid to take a shot on Jalen Carter. How he just makes those deals, man. Jalen, everybody's afraid of Jalen Carter. Sure, we'll take him. Saquon doesn't. Saquon can look for a new business partner to do business with. Sure, we'll go in and bring him on. No one's heard of this backup from the Saints. Yeah, let's bring him on. Just a very well put together team, man. Very well put together team. Yesterday was felt more like business than it did anything else, no matter how big the score was. And for those people who just saw the box score, Mahomes didn't have that good of a game. 2 of those touchdowns came after we pulled off everybody off the field, which I wish we wouldn't have done because I wanted us to keep them under double digits.
Yeah, that game wasn't 40 to
At all.
22. I'll
At
tell
all.
you
At
that.
all. That was the best funeral of someone who deserved to die that I've ever gone to in my life.
I still can't get over it, man. How often do we actually say an NFL team, a dynastic NFL team at that, was completely overwhelmed? One of my favorite plays of the game, RG, was Joe Tooney, who is an all world guard, is obviously very average out there at left tackle. I believe it was Sweat bull rushed him so badly, pushes him right into Mahomes' leg, causing an incredible interception by Braun. But on first glance, when Mahomes throws that pick on, what happened? What is he looking at? Then we see the replay from a couple different angles. The receiver is coming across open. He's already past Braun, but what do we say? That pass rush can do wonders, and it forced the shitty throw. Incredible diving catch, looking like an all-pro wide receiver with just laying out like Superman. I could go over and over about all these incredible plays, but you know what? You are going to have to make incredible plays to knock off a champion like the Chiefs. I know we are just giving the Eagles all this love, but damn it, man, they deserve it. That was a performance for the
It
ages.
was. It absolutely was. The Seahawks against Manning, Baltimore against the Giants, the 85 Bears. We can even throw in Tampa's performance against Rich Gannon in that Super Bowl. you know, there's very few of them that ever end up like that are that one sided. And it was nice to be a part of one of those where it just beat you down, man. Just beat them down. Tyson Baxter, I always played DT growing up. My pops always said, don't matter who's open if you always in his face. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. If he ain't got room to breathe and operate, they can have 40 guys open now, Phil, if he can't get the ball to him. Worst game of Mahomes' career. And just happy to have it, man. Happy to have it. Just the revenge factor, just a sour taste from the way that the Super Bowl went 2 years ago. And we should honestly be sitting on 3 rings. But I've never blamed so much the refs and the Chiefs for that as much as I blamed our approach in the second half, trying to play conservative when the game was still in the balance. But we here now. And think about this too. Jalen's about to lose another offensive coordinator. He hasn't had the same offensive coordinator in his ears for the same 2 seasons since that boy got out of high school. And he's still the same. That dude got ice water in his veins, man.
Big time. He deservedly put himself in an echelon that he was not in before. And you're right. Like, this is no disrespect to Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, but you win the Super Bowl, it literally puts you in a different category. I mean, I know Eli Manning didn't make it first ballot, but if he doesn't beat the Patriots twice, we're not even in a discussion with him for the Hall of Fame. Like, when you win a Super Bowl, it puts you in a certain category that nobody can take it away from you. There is no debating. You are a Super Bowl champion. And just think how hard it is to win a Super Bowl. Think how many good seasons the Eagles have had in their tenure. Think how many good seasons even the Seahawks have had in the last 25 years. How hard it is to actually win a Super Bowl. You get the job done. And to top it off, Jalen wasn't, I don't care about no 22 pass attempts. If you watched the game, you saw a dude balling out and leading the charge. And like we mentioned, Saquon Barkley, 2.3 yards per carry. Jalen had to step up. If he doesn't step up like that, who knows? It might be a 10-7 ball game with 2 minutes left, and it could be a completely different story. But this dude
And
was
he's the
cooking
one,
them. Do not give him
yeah, and
single
he's the one
coverage
that
with
had
those
the back
dudes.
breaking plays. Third down, 17 yards. Third down, 14 yards. Third down, 11-yard run. And then the setup to get AJ in the end zone. The bomb to Smitty. Just kept them so, those are demoralizing. Those are demoralizing. Those are body punches that you just can't recover from. And there's a old saying in boxing that if you work the body enough, the head's gonna follow. And just all those body shots just giving them. And then the fact that the defense just wasn't letting Kansas City do a damn thing. It was it was nice to be a part of a game in the Super Bowl championship where it was over midway through the third, and the only thing you just had to do was just hope that no one got hurt and the miracle didn't happen. And even when they had the drive that was supposed to be a miracle drive, strip sack. Believe Taylor Swift only got shown once during the game.
I wonder if she dipped out early.
Heard they booed the shit out of her when they showed her on the big screen.
She
Hey man,
didn't
this
know
ain't
what
a
to
whole
think,
bunch of
man.
teenage girls in there for the Eras tour. Yeah, man.
And we know how Philly is with the Boo Birds, man. They ain't gonna hold nothing back. This isn't like your reserve Seattle
Nope,
fans, man.
not at all. But what a great night to be an Eagles fan. Most watched Super Bowl in history. Know a lot of people were tuning in, hoping that they got to see the exact thing that they turned on the game for, and happy that my team was able to bring it to you.
It was fun. I can honestly say most blowouts aren't fun to watch. There was something about this that
Well,
just kept you on
because
the edge of your
you
seat, bro.
when it's Brady and Mahomes, you always think that something is going to happen. You're an Atlanta Falcon fan. You are up 28-3. And the next time you blink, you're going into overtime. Just great guys make great plays when their team needs them the most. And our defense just not was not going to let Mahomes put them in that type of position. And Kansas City just was in a position where They won a lot of games on grit. That same team put up 32 points on Buffalo. Lucky for us, they abandoned the run. Only ran the ball 7 times. Yeah, last night they abandoned the run. Kelsey looks old, dropping passes. DeAndre Hopkins was dropping passes. Xavier Worthy turned out to be their best weapon, and it took them 18 games to figure out how to use them. There's, and it's been Jalen even said it himself today, man. Offense, offense scores points, but defense wins championships. Sorry, he said offense wins games, defense wins championships, and that defense absolutely got us our championship. First team in 10 years since the 2015 Denver Broncos that a number one defense won the championship. Those guys deserved it. And they didn't let up one bit until the coach took them off the field. And that's no fault of their own.
It's the only way. If you want to beat a quarterback in a team like the Chiefs and Patty Mahomes, it has to be on defense. There's no other way. You can't get in a shootout with these guys. You have to cut the head off of the snake, and they absolutely did that. You were just talking about, kind of rising to the occasion. John Wooden's quote, be at your best when your best is needed. And boy, the Eagles were sure that.
Wow. Interesting stat, Mariners. Life just threw at us of the 89 quarterbacks drafted since Mahomes was drafted, only Hurts has won a Super Bowl as a starter. See, the
So it's
Mahomes
either
are old
Mahomes
guys,
or old
and
guys.
that's the trend that the league has been in. I mean, if we go back to when we were a couple years younger, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, one of those guys were in 10 consecutive Super Bowls until Flacco broke that. Just the guard is crazy. Now, here's what I want to see. Let's say Jalen gets two. We work our way out. We get two. Then is that enough for him to be able to come back and tell the rest of them, "Fuck the big three. It's only big me." Because there's still some people who are going to say Allen's better. There's still some people who are going to say Burrow's better. There's still some people who are going to believe Lamar's better. But I've only seen one of them be better than Patty in the big game. It's just unfortunate James Bradbury's a pussy, and he cost us the ring 2 years ago. Jalen gets another one. Does that finally put enough gap in between him and the other three? And we say it is him and Mahomes riding forward.
It could. That's so subjective though. Because what do you want to do about regular season? There's
Play to
two
win
different
championships.
categories, and then if you really want to go that route, I could. How many quarterbacks could have won the Super Bowl with the Eagles roster? Jalen's not the only one, and this is
I
not a
mean,
slight
he's the
against
one
him. It's
that's
just
there,
being
so that's all I can
realistic.
take. That's all I can take it at, man. But you play to win championships.
Now, I'm not
That's
going to
right.
take anything
Boy
away from
deserves
him.
it.
He's a champion
Boy
now.
deserves it. But oh man, I believe so too. I believe so too. If we wouldn't have lost Steichen, we could have gone. Yeah, we could have won last year because we weren't letting a guy who had no business having that job figure out what to do with Jalen. And Kellen's approach with him was great this year as well too, where I'm going to let you do what it is that you do, but I'm also going to put these other guys around you in better positions to be able to do it too. I love watching us actually use motion and not just come out here and run the same vanilla 14 plays over and over again. I'm still surprised we were even able to win 10 games last year with the way that by the time we got past that Buffalo game, you could just figure us out. You could figure us out. We had no creativity to our offense. And not that we had a bunch of gadget plays and doing crazy shit like the Lions do, but even just something as simple as, hey, let's send the guy across. Because me and you know enough football. You send the guy across and someone follows him, you're in man. You send the guy across, the team slides, they're in zone. And just something how even something like that was able to help Jalen be able to become better at how he was able to do. Does it help being able to give the ball off to Saquon Barkley? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you couldn't key on anything with us. And that showed last night too. Kansas City was like, we're not gonna let Saquon beat us, and they kept that boy in check. But he almost did have a total of 100 all-purpose yards. Still found ways to be able to impact the game, even though he didn't get he didn't treat the Rams. I mean, he didn't treat the Chiefs like he treated the Rams.
Well, Saquon's also
Yes, he
proven to be a
has.
great
Yes, he
blocker
has.
this year too, and that
Yes, he
is
has.
one thing I
Yes, he has,
love.
and has the size and the strength to be able to go in there and do something. Yeah, instead of using who are those two in Tampa, instead of trying to use uh, Bucky and Smith to try to do something, those guys just don't have the size to be able to keep a defensive end off your ass.
Great job by the Eagles too, not giving up on the run, just in juxtaposition to what you said about the Chiefs gave up on the run before the game even got going. I mean, 25 carries for Saquon, only 50 plus yards, staying committed to the ground game, slowing down the pass rush, making sure you still have the one-on-ones on the outside. Just a great game plan and execution too. And then I want to give a shout out to Vic Fangio though too, because I believe the Eagles were 30th or so in scoring defense last year. I believe they were number 2 this year and completely overwhelmed the Kansas City Chiefs. So congratulations. All his defenses have done his entire career is kick ass and take names. And so great hire. Great hire. And a fantastic thing, too, for the Eagles' perspective is just the way owners are right now. I don't think anyone's hiring a curmudgeonly old defensive coach. So you're probably going to have
We
that
should
dude
have
for
him.
a while.
We should have him. He's not a. He definitely doesn't isn't going to make the poster of what you want to go out and try to make that guy shift at, and he's happy where he is. And that's the most important part is that he's happy where he is. And some vindication for him, too, because he was brought in as a consultant to try to help John Gannon come up with a scheme to be able to beat Kansas City 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. And, we gave up 38 points to him. He's in charge of everything. And God, belts to asses.
That's so good. In my house, it was a wooden spoon, though, but I get your point, bro.
Fun time. Sad to see football go. NBA is horrible. My sons suck. Washington Capitals are doing good, though. And then in 2 weeks, pitchers and catchers report. And the lifelong pain that is a Mariner fan slowly begins. Death by 1,000 cuts.
At
Still
least,
got
at
my
least you have
Eagles,
your
baby.
Eagles. At least you have your Eagles.
Still got my Eagles. Sorry we didn't get to be a part of the show with you last night. Just had fun, man. Just wanted to take a moment to celebrate and just kind of breathe and relax. And Super Bowl is an unofficial official holiday. Tyler was around loved ones, and he was where he was at with a group of people he cares about out in Tennessee. So we thank those of you who joined us for this impromptu late Monday night episode of My Oh My, it's another sports podcast. And we look forward to always seeing you again. We may have to adjust the time on Sunday. Unfortunately, I work a graveyard shift, so I won't be able to make our normal recording time, but we'll definitely put it up on our socials about what time we'll be able to join you. And those of you who have hit that subscribe button, you'll get an alert when we get ready to go live, like you always do. Todd Talks, anything else for the people?
Fly, Eagles, fly. Congratulations.
Man, long time coming. Long time coming. And I also want to give a shout out to my Uncle John, who got to sit down and do an interview with ESPN this week. And you can find that when they were talking about the Rooney Rule. Again, my uncle is a man named John Wooten. He is more important to me than Martin Luther King is, just because I have a direct connection to him and with the influence that he's been in my life, and that the influence that he's been in probably some of your lives and you don't even know it. So be sure to go check out that article if you get the chance to on ESPN, man. This has been another episode of My Own Mice, another sports podcast, brought to you by the good folks of Aiden Podcast Services. We're normally live each and every Sunday. You can always follow us on our socials at My Own My ASP for all the latest info that we got to give out to you. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Snapchat. Ty is always dropping content. We always got some funny anecdotes going on. Big shout out to our social media director, Miss Katie Matsumoto. Couldn't make this happy without the man behind the wheels of steel in Nashville, Tennessee. Big indie with Vaden Podcast Services. Be sure to check out his music page on YouTube. Death to Indie. Drop us a line. As always, we invite anybody who follows this show to always come and join us live. A big shout out to Jerry B6. We'll link up with you, man, as we keep rolling towards baseball season. But hey, for right now, we're from Philly. We're from Philly. No one likes us. We don't care. But we are America's team because we did Lord's work for you and got rid of the Swifties, baby. That's the homie Ty Talks 24 rocking with you from Little Lake Stevens. Again, this show is recorded, produced, and brought to you by Vaden Podcast Services out of Nashville, Tennessee. I'm your homie RG representing the Cinco Cero Cinco. Be sure to join us each and every week for another episode of My Oh My. It's another sports podcast.